We now move to questions and answers, and we've got a few come in, so we'll commence. First one is to you, John. You say you have a 20% Indigenous employment target. Do you believe that's achievable, and can you tell us about how you will go about this?
Thanks, Dave, and thanks for the question. I really do believe it's believable. The target that was set within the contract was 12%, and given that the Holland's contract, the John Holland percentage is somewhere between 12 and 14 now, we didn't think it was, I guess, enough of a stretch to say that we'll just keep maintaining the existing participation rate. So we've committed to delivering 20% over the next 5 years. So incrementally from now till 2027, we will hit 20%. And that's by really going out and partnering with the local Aboriginal community. Myself and my Aboriginal and stakeholder engagement manager have already been out talking to a number of the land councils. So really trying to work with them, set up processes and things like work experience, traineeships, apprenticeships. We're also looking to increase the number of Aboriginal businesses working within UGL Regional Links and supplying into UGL Regional Links, and making that easier for not only Aboriginal businesses but other small and medium enterprise businesses to work within a company like UGL Regional Links, which we can have some quite tough contract terms. So we looked at trying to minimize those, really make it a lot easier for them to partner with us. So I fully believe that 20% is achievable.
Thank you for that, John. I might now throw on to Tim. What do you see as the biggest challenges moving forward with these 3 mega projects in the next 12 months?
Great question. I think it's about resources. It's about, I think my view at the moment is everyone's really tired. I think it's been a really tough couple of years. I'm certainly looking forward to a break. But I think moving forward, it's about learning from what we've already done, bringing that onto the new projects, but also learning as an industry how to become more efficient. We've only got so many resources. I think there'll be a big push for not just our projects, but other projects. We're going to be competing for resources. What we've got to do is use this opportunity to become more efficient, use our resources better. So I think for me, it's going to be about resources and working with our supply chain.
Thank you. And Tim, we might stay with you for the next one. Recent lockdowns, site staff restrictions and the construction pause would have hurt program, and is no doubt continuing to hurt program. What sort of planning is going into trying to help the site teams claw this time back? Yeah,
that's it's really funny. We just before we had the latest shutdown, we had a program called TPO1. And I should have known when we put the 0 in front of it, it wasn't good news. We're now on TPO2. We have a joint project committee where we work with all our supply chain. And I've got to take credit to everyone. We've asked them to give us their raw programs without contingency. And we're working through with each of our contractors to work out how do we bring the project back online. When you get a pause in the project, you can either just let everything shift out, or you can try and accelerate. And from our point of view, we've got so much contractors on board, we've got to get everyone to move at the same pace. And we've got absolute buy-in from our delivery chain. They have been fantastic. We have a raw program. It is without doubt going to be very, very tight to meet our program. But we've got every confidence the contractors do it. But we are literally planning room by room, taking every opportunity, a lot of night shifts. And again, we're seeing the industry really look and take opportunities, but it means that we're going to have to work in a much more flexible arrangement with our industry. We're going to have to really trust them, and they're going to have to trust us, because that's the way we're going to be successful.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, John, over to you. Why are you basing yourself in Orange?
Okay. I'm sure, like many of you that are listening today, when I was in Queensland Rail, I was stationed in the regions, places like Barcolden in the central west, Mackay up in the north, Rockhampton in the central area. And everyone that I worked with and that worked for me had this view of Brisbane as the ivory tower. We had people in our corporate areas especially that didn't even know they were working for a railway. They didn't know what a railway looked like or what we did. So we really wanted to make sure that our team, our whole team, was based on the CRN, that we could go out and see it and touch it, get around and talk to the gangs easily. And I just didn't want to have that ivory tower tag on our team that are running the CRN. So we really are keen on being out there and being local.
Thank you. Okay, back to Tim, and this question is about what my boss calls metrification. I'm not even sure that's a word. What benefits do you see in converting the Bankstown line to a metro?
I think there's some huge advantages. I think we've already talked about in the video, some of those stations get 4 trains an hour. Moving forward, they're going to get 15 trains an hour. A number of those stations at the moment don't have lifts. They'll all have lifts when we're finished. A number of them do have large gaps to get on and off the train. And again, we see we can solve that. I think for us, the real benefit will be that whole area will become connected. Bankstown, everyone thinks of Bankstown being a long way away. It'll be 30 minutes by metro into the CBD. Sydenham, 6 minutes. The travel times are really good. The reliability is excellent. I think people will really appreciate the uplift in the service they're going to get. And I also think it will allow people in that area much greater access to other parts of Sydney than they currently achieve.
Thank you very much. Okay, John, over to you. What is the difference between what you will be doing and what the current operator has done for the last 10 years?
Thanks, Dave. I guess the way we're going to operate for the next 10 years is largely driven by the contract that we've got with Transport for New South Wales. For those of you that don't know, we've got a 10-year contract that is fixed price. So we put in a lump sum back in May of 2020, and we now have to stick to that price to maintain the CRN for the next 10 years. So we get the same amount of money every month, every year for the next 10 years. So we have really had to have a very close look. What I should also add, that we take the risk on asset condition. So you can't do less than you have to do, because otherwise we get called up to the principal's office. If speed restrictions increase, if track condition, if we have complaints, all those sorts of things means that you have to maintain the asset in a fit for purpose condition. In 10 years' time, we have to hand it back to Transport for New South Wales in exactly the same state as we currently accept it, apart from where we may have the opportunity to do enhancement works. So that really drives an entirely different mindset in terms of what we need to do. You price it too low and you've got all sorts of delivery risk. You price it too high and you don't get the job. So we spend a lot of time considering the asset, its current condition, and what we would need to do at a very granular level to maintain the asset and keep it fit for purpose. So I think that's probably the major difference, is there's no annual reset or consideration of what needs to be done in the 12 months ahead. We've had to consider all that, in effect, the better part of 2 years before we took over the responsibility for maintenance.
Thank you, John. And I'd like to finish the Q&A with a question that I'd like to pose to both of you. Having had long careers already in the rail industry, you will have seen a lot of change. Could you tell us where you see the rail industry in say, 5 years' time? What do you think the rail industry in 5 years will look like? Tim, maybe you'd start.
Well, I hope it's going to be a bit more diversified. I mean, I think to me that's the real opportunity we have. I think we're pushing diversification. I hope in 5 years' time, I like the Lang O'Rourke's aim, I'd love to see 50-50. I think we've got a whole part of the population that we need to embrace. I also think that we've got to change the image. It's really funny, once you're in the industry, it's like, wow, this is great, it's really good fun. So many people don't understand what we do and how we do it, but once they do, they love it. And I think, certainly from our point of view at Sydney Metro, we're looking at easing the barriers to enter the rail industry, taking on people who perhaps don't have rail engineering experience, but can learn. And I think that's what we've got to do as an industry. We've got to invite people into our club. I often talk about, if you're in the rail industry, you have a blue tattoo on your head, which is a big R, but only those in the rail industry can see the R. We've got to get rid of the R. Everyone should be welcome, and I think that's where it's going to go. We'll end up with a much more multicultural, much more diverse industry, but again, smart people doing smart things and really driving the economy.
And John, your thoughts?
Okay, well, Tim, I guess I'd like to firstly echo Tim's thoughts. I can remember when I went to university a long time ago, there were 2 girls in my class in University of Alberta. So in the engineering intake, there would have been about 1,000 kids that year. And in the civil engineering team, probably they maybe made up a third of that. So 2 girls in 300, that's exceedingly poor odds. You miss out on such an opportunity, basically 50% of the population to attract to rail. And I think that's something that you see right across the rail industry. So yeah, definitely we need to make inroads. We need to make it more attractive for ladies, girls to enter the rail industry. And secondly, I'd like to see a better integration of planning and consideration strategy between how we operate the freight networks of this country with consideration to the metropolitan passenger networks. There is still a lot of choke or bottleneck when trains come off railways like the CRN or V-Line into Melbourne on trying to get a product from source to port, because if you miss your slot by 30 seconds, that's it. You sit there till the afternoon peak is over, or till the morning peak is over, whichever way you hit it. So just a better integration of our freight and passenger networks.
Thank you very much, John. And that pretty much brings us to the end of the session. John and Tim, I'd like to thank you both very much. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today and give us some great insights into the industry. Can we just show our appreciation for John and Tim? Thank you. Claps aren't very loud when there's only a few of us in the, anyway, more when we've got an audience.